So, in today's video, I'm going to be reviewing the first 9 episodes of The Bad Batch. The Bad Batch is a spin-off of the masterful Star Wars The Clone Wars, which is something I hold really close to my heart, and is my favorite thing in all of Star Wars. But does The Bad Batch live up to The Clone Wars? Find out in today's video. And yes, I know the mid-season ended at episode 8, but I procrastinated too long and episode 9 already came out, so I figured I'd just include it here. Don't judge me.
I do what I want!
And real quick, I just want to say if you enjoyed the video, please remember to leave a like and subscribe, and if you want to stay updated with me and my content, just follow my Twitter, @Machuw. Alright, let's get into it. The pilot of Bad Batch starts up with a 75-minute episode. One of the things I really wanted to see in the final episodes of Clone Wars were episodes that would exceed the 1-hour mark, and I completely did not expect this. The first episode starts out with a seemingly regular mission for the Bad Batch, which I think is a great way to both familiarize the audience with the tone, while showcasing the Bad Batch's abilities. Here we briefly reunite with Kanan.
Master! Here. I'm here.
I mean, they couldn't have at least pitched his voice down. Alright, I mean, whatever, okay, alright. Puberty hits everyone different, I understand. Crosshair then tries to kill Kanan, but he manages to get away, which then fuels a conflict between Crosshair and the Bad Batch. And the series' new addition is that of Omega, who is a really mysterious and unique clone with special abilities, and we don't really know much about her. I thought this was a pretty great introduction actually. It does an amazing job of showing the viewers what the show is going to feel like. It feels like Clone Wars, but it simultaneously is able to build its own voice. The thing I was actually most excited about was the fact that it's just one linear story that always focused on the same characters, instead of switching the narrative after 4 episodes. With that being said, it does have some drawbacks. With 16 episodes following the same characters and narrative, you're bound to have a lot of filler, but I'll get into more of that later. In episode 2, we reunite with Cut, who was literally from season 2, which came out more than a decade ago, and it's really crazy watching this show as my inner 7-year-old self keeps on popping out. The thing is, it's actually not reliant on nostalgia. It actually utilizes previous characters to forward the narrative in a really interesting way. Episode 3 keeps up the pace, and we see some pretty dark stuff in this episode where Crosshair murders an abundance of innocent civilians. Meanwhile, we get some nice tension and character building with the Bad Batch on Amun. The only main issue I have with the show at this point is the dismantling of clone troopers. Tarkin's logic doesn't make much sense, as for some reason he thinks that randomly recruiting people would be more effective than the clones that they can literally program. I mean, one of the enlistees immediately questioned orders while Crosshair didn't even hesitate to complete the mission. Like, y'all gotta be using the clones, man. Episode 4 continues the momentum as we then run into someone familiar, but this time they're not from the Clone Wars, but the Mandalorian. And can I just say, Fennec aged hella well. This episode showcased the many threats the Bad Batch face while increasing the mystery of why Omega is so important. The animation is incredible, I like the hand-to-hand combat, the chase scene was really riveting, and overall this was a pretty great episode. Episode 5 really drops the ball though in my opinion, because while episodes 2 and 4 felt kinda by the numbers, the conflict in those episodes still forwarded the plot. This one felt a little too formulaic to me, as there wasn't really enough character depth to get invested. The only thing that was kinda nice is that the Bad Batch rescue a baby Rancor, which would eventually grow up to fight Luke in Return of the Jedi. Now, episode 6 is... I mean, it was inevitable. I knew the Martez sisters would eventually show up, but... I don't know. I mean, I'm over-exaggerating a little bit. They're actually, tolerable. In this episode, I still don't really like them and find them kinda annoying, but the episode by itself was just pretty lightweight.
Stay back!
Whoa. Take it easy, kid. I don't want to hurt you, but I can't have you getting in the way.
You're the one in my way.
Do it!
Episode 7, entitled Battle Scars, picks the pace back up and I really enjoyed it. One thing I really appreciate here is how the show starts to develop the bond between Wrecker and Omega. I feel like it would be kinda boring and repetitive if we got another father-child dynamic in Star Wars. So Omega and Wrecker having this big brother-little sister dynamic, I found to be really endearing and wholesome, as it adds a lot more depth to the show. I also really like seeing Rex again, of course. The premise of this episode is that the chip in Wrecker is becoming more ever-present, and it's urgent that they remove it from all of them. However, there is a chance that they could all die because they don't have a proper station to work with. This episode does a good job of building tension, and I also enjoyed that Rex made sure to mention to Echo what happened to Five as they all go way back. Episode 8 is probably my favorite in the first half so far. It feels like it has the most tension out of an episode, as the previous ones did a good job of building the stakes. We now care what happens to Omega, so the fact that there are multiple bounty hunters and the Empire going after them adds a lot to the stakes. It's very well animated, it feels really gritty, and oh man, that score by Kevin Kiner is just chef's kiss. I also thought it was really cool how Crosshair was a complete foil to the Bad Batch, as he knows exactly how they would operate in these situations, and I also think it's neat how we're getting regular Empire type troopers mixed in with actual clones. One thing I don't really like though is how the Bad Batch just straight up murder clones. Like, I felt like out of anyone in the universe, they would understand what they were going through. Heck, Wrecker literally just experienced what it would be like to be mind controlled, yet we just see him toss some fools off a cliff like it's nothing. But the episode ends with a fantastic cameo by Cad Bane, where he and Hunter have a classic Western show-off. I just absolutely love when Star Wars goes full Western with showdowns like these. They're just such a simple and fun way to build tension in a scene. So Cad Bane wins the shootout, heavily wounding Hunter, and Omega is captured. This was a great way to set up the next half of the series, as we ended on a cliffhanger and have many plot threads and antagonists to flesh the rest of the season out properly. Episode 9 starts up pretty much right where 8 left off, where Crosshair is gunning them down in space. However, the episode is mainly told from Omega's perspective, as she's the one who's been captured, and we get to see her grow a bit more as a person because she really just has to use her wit to get out of this place. My favorite part of this episode is honestly Fennec having various showdowns with Cad Bane. We see they're kind of equally matched to each other, which makes for some really great action. My only complaint is I think we should have seen more of the Bad Batch's perspective here to show their desperation and wanting to get Omega back, because the sense of urgency was a little weak at points. Now, to get into some more conclusive thoughts about the first 9 episodes as a whole, I wish we fleshed out the mass hysteria and confusion from the Bad Batch more when pertaining to Order 66. I feel like that's something we glossed over a little bit too quickly, honestly. And like I said before, the filler episodes like 5 and 6 were a little boring to me. For some notes, I think we should utilize the Bad Batch's unique abilities just a little more in each episode, just so they don't end up feeling like they're just regular clones. I also think the show could benefit from the Teen Titans format of episodes, as in we can have episodes that are strictly focused on certain characters, and we can also do a deep dive into each one of them whilst forwarding the plot. For example, I would like to maybe learn a bit more of them individually, and maybe their backstory can tie into the overall theme of the episode. Lastly, Omega can be somewhat of a hit or miss for me at times. Mostly I find her character to be endearing and she adds a lot to the group, but sometimes I feel like her character unnecessarily makes stupid decisions just to drive conflict. But overall, I think the show is actually really good. The animation is fantastic. Sometimes I just pause some of those frames just to admire it because it just looks so stunning at times. The score is absolutely phenomenal and brings out so much life into the show. The action is riveting, and most of the episodes are successful in bringing a strong heart to the show. But like I said before, the show unfortunately does have some filler episodes, since it is trying to tell a 16-episode narrative. Clone Wars was able to avoid this as they were essentially making a movie spread out through 4 episodes, so you would rarely get any filler since every episode in the 4 episodic arcs would matter. Surprisingly, for about 4 episodes straight, it's just all storytelling, and 5 and 6 were really not my thing, but 7, 8, and 9 being utterly fantastic. I'd say the Bad Batch is 7 out of 9 in terms of episodes that really work, and as a whole, I'd rate the first half an 8 out of 10. And to quickly answer the question, is it better than Clone Wars? Well, as a whole, I feel like Clone Wars is better, but that's obviously unfair. I will say that it's undoubtedly had the best stars when compared to Rebels and Clone Wars, and I think by this point, it's already better than Season 1 of Clone Wars and pretty much all of Rebels. But that's going to be it for my mid-season review of The Bad Batch. Did you guys agree with my points? Did you disagree? And let me know how you guys are liking the show so far. And if you enjoyed the video, please remember to leave a like and subscribe. And all that being said, I hope you guys have a great day. Peace.